Gift was 28 years old, and according to almost everyone in her life, that was a problem. It wasn't something people said directly, at least not always. It came in softer forms. The aunties at church, who smiled a little too knowingly when they saw her sitting alone. Her mother's casual mentions of so-and-so's daughter, who had just gotten engaged. The wedding invitations that kept arriving in her inbox, one after another, like a countdown she hadn't signed up for. She was not unhappy with her life. That was the part nobody seemed to understand. She had a job she loved. She worked as a social worker for a nonprofit that served underprivileged children. She had her own apartment, small but warm, filled with books and plants, and the smell of whatever she was cooking on Sunday afternoons. She had close friends, a church she was rooted in, and a relationship with God that had carried her through things far harder than being single. But so many nights, the quiet ones, after the busyness of the day had settled, she would sit by her window and feel it. A longing she couldn't quite name, not desperation, not envy, just a soft, persistent ache, the desire to be known, to be chosen, to come home to someone who was glad she was there. She was honest enough with God about it. Asterisk, Lord, I'm not trying to rush you. Asterisk, she would pray. Asterisk, but I want you to know I'm still here, still waiting. And some days it's harder than others. Asterisk. She believed God heard her. She just wasn't always sure he was in any hurry. It was in that season of quiet, longing that Michael came along. He was charming and attentive, and he quoted scripture fluently. He said all the right things. He talked about purpose and legacy and building something together. He made Gift feel seen in a way she hadn't felt in a long time. Her closest friend, Sandra, was honest with her one evening over dinner. Gift, something feels off. I can't explain it, but when I pray about this, I don't have peace. Gift had smiled and said she understood. But inside, she thought, asterisk, maybe Sandra is just being overprotective. Maybe I'm finally allowed to have this, asterisk. She ignored the small, still voice that whispered the same thing Sandra had said. 3 months in, she found out Michael was engaged to another woman in a different city. He had been living to lives with impressive ease. When she confronted him, he didn't even fully deny it. He simply sighed with a kind of casual cruelty. Asterisk, I thought you knew what this was. Asterisk. She didn't cry in front of him. She waited until she got to her car. Then she wept not just for Michael, but for how much she had wanted it to be real. For how close she had come to settling because she was tired of waiting. That night, she opened her Bible and it fell, almost by accident, to Psalm 27-14. Asterisk, wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord. Asterisk. She stared at the page for a long time,